Close-up images and expert opinions in the expose point to a transformation too drastic to ignore. Meghan Markle's face, long the centerpiece of her public identity, is now being scrutinized as a result of calculated surgical procedures. Eyelid lifts, rhinoplasty, fillers, and facelift are just the beginning, according to sources cited in the report. These alleged enhancements, Samantha Markle argues, were not mere vanity projects but strategic moves designed to erase years, obscure her real age, and maintain an illusion of eternal youth, an illusion crucial to her entry into Hollywood and later royalty.
If you love getting the real story behind the palace walls, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so you never miss an update.
The use of cosmetic procedures as a form of image control reframes Meghan's story from one of natural evolution to deliberate construction. It challenges the idea of authenticity in her rise and calls into question the legitimacy of a persona built on timeless beauty and resilience. This expose doesn't simply critique the aesthetic. It exposes a deeper strategy of control and presentation that raises broader questions about the pressures of public life, the manipulation of appearance, and the line between personal reinvention and public deception. Samantha Markle didn't pull punches. She rarely does. But this time, she went nuclear. In one of her most explosive claims to date, she alleged that Meghan Markle isn't 44, like the palace PR machine insists. No, according to Samantha, Meghan is actually 52 years old. That's an 8-year gap, an entire fabricated identity if her sister is telling the truth. This accusation isn't coming from a random internet sleuth. It's coming from Meghan's own half-sister. Samantha has been a persistent critic for years, but this time, she's targeting the core of Meghan's public persona, her age, her education, her credibility. If true, it would mean Meghan's rise to fame, her modern royal brand, her youthful activist image, were all built on sand. So what's Samantha basing this on? She points to a pattern of age-related inconsistencies in Meghan's timeline, photos, public appearances, even family history that doesn't align with the official birth year of 1981. And if you start lining up the math, the cracks start to show. The age discrepancy isn't just cosmetic. Samantha links it directly to a deeper pattern of image curation.
If you love getting the real story behind the palace walls, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so you never miss an update.
She alleges that Meghan underwent multiple cosmetic procedures, eyelid lifts, rhinoplasty, Botox, fillers, even facelifts, using money that was quietly amassed over time. The surgeries, according to her, weren't just about vanity. They were about selling a story. A version of Meghan who looked perpetually 30, who seemed like she naturally belonged to a younger generation of influencers and royals. The implication? The age lie wasn't harmless. It was strategic. Then came the education claims. This one hit a different nerve. Meghan's academic background, Northwestern University, double majors, international relations, theater, the whole polished package, has always been central to her image. The woman who navigated Hollywood and humanitarian causes. But according to Samantha, Meghan never even completed her college degree. She says the timelines don't add up, that there are inconsistencies between when Meghan says she graduated and what public and school records imply, that the stories about her semester in Madrid and internship at the U.S. Embassy in Buenos Aires don't align with when she supposedly graduated. And most of all, Samantha questions how someone with a spotty academic record managed to package herself so convincingly as an educated activist with elite credentials. If Meghan didn't graduate, it raises major questions about her credibility, not just in the public eye, but within the royal family. She built a reputation as someone well-spoken, well-educated, with a worldview that complemented Prince Harry's humanitarian interests. But if those credentials are fabricated or exaggerated, then what's left? Digging into the university archives only made things murkier. Official records list Meghan with a communications degree, not the double major in theater and international relations she's often claimed. And that's assuming she graduated at all, which Samantha continues to challenge. There's no clear documentation to back it up, and requests for comment from Northwestern have been met with silence. The silence only fueled speculation. Was Northwestern avoiding a PR disaster? Was there pressure to keep things quiet from powerful people? Meghan has maintained her biography with the precision of a royal press office, changing her age, hiding academic gaps, reshaping timelines. It wouldn't be the first time a public figure sculpted their history for optics. But the difference here is scale. We're not talking about a typo on a resume. We're talking about the possibility that her entire public persona, youthful, educated, accomplished, was created through cosmetic surgery, credential padding, and PR spin. The kind of narrative manipulation that undermines not just a story, but the institutions backing it. That includes the royal family. Meghan's entry into the firm was branded as a modernization moment. A biracial American woman with a strong voice and serious credentials. A breath of fresh air. But if that image was partly manufactured, the palace's vetting process starts to look shockingly weak or complicit. It's not just about age or school. It's about trust. If the palace didn't verify key parts of her background, or worse, ignored red flags, then the credibility of the royal institution itself comes into question. Did they not know, or did they choose not to know? Of course, Samantha's history with Meghan is contentious. She's been accused of profiting off the drama and seeking attention. But even critics admit she's persistent, she's got receipts, and she's willing to say the things no one else will. And in this case, she's backed by a growing community of online investigators who've been comparing dates, photos, and records with forensic precision. Some users pointed out facial changes in old and recent images that go beyond natural aging. Others noticed odd inconsistencies in high school yearbook entries, graduation photos, and internship dates. The deeper they dug, the more the story unraveled. What emerges isn't just a question of whether Meghan is 52 instead of 44. It's whether her entire trajectory, from Hollywood actress to royal wife to global brand, was shaped by selective truths and cosmetic illusions. And that opens up another set of problems. Because if the public starts doubting her story, everything she's built could be on shaky ground. Her Netflix deals, her podcast claims, her public speeches, much of it relies on the idea that she's authentic, a survivor, a smart, modern woman who made her way through a tough world. But if her core story turns out to be crafted or false, does any of it still hold weight? Samantha claims this isn't about revenge, it's about truth. She argues that Meghan has rewritten her background to such an extent that she's no longer recognizable to those who actually knew her growing up. That the Meghan the world sees now is a carefully engineered version, built for fame and favor. She says she's tired of the double life, tired of the curated backstory that leaves her and others in the family out of the frame, or worse, villainized. And while many dismiss her as bitter or opportunistic, others see her as one of the few willing to speak openly about the inconsistencies everyone else avoids. What's striking is how little public response there's been from institutions involved. Northwestern hasn't issued clarifications. The palace hasn't commented. And Meghan herself has avoided direct confrontation with these specific claims, choosing instead to emphasize her personal journey and philanthropic efforts. That silence keeps the door open. Without clear answers, the speculation thrives. And in a media landscape where public image is currency, the idea that a high-profile figure could falsify multiple elements of their identity is more than a scandal. It's a warning shot. For now, the question isn't just whether Meghan Markle lied about her age or degree. It's whether her story still stands if key parts of it fall apart. If you've been following this saga from the beginning, or if you're just now picking your jaw up off the floor, go ahead and drop a comment below. What do you believe? Are these red flags finally catching up? Hit that like button, share this madness, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into royal chaos, media illusions, and the mess behind the public image. The timeline discrepancies don't stop at graduation dates. Meghan's early career trajectory, her so-called humble beginnings, also get tangled in the web of contradictions. Take her reported internship at the U.S. Embassy in Buenos Aires. According to the official story, she did that while studying at Northwestern. But people have started asking, does that placement make sense if she hadn't actually completed her studies? Would a U.S. embassy offer a role like that to someone without verified academic standing? It raises uncomfortable questions. If Meghan's academic record is shaky, was that internship earned or orchestrated? And if it was orchestrated, who helped make it happen? These aren't trivial questions. They go to the heart of how narratives are shaped. Was Meghan just smart and driven? Or was certain powers handed to her behind the scenes, made to look like personal merit? The skepticism doesn't just come from Samantha or anonymous internet accounts. Over time, even insiders who once defended Meghan's version of events have gone quiet. Former classmates, school officials, and even past colleagues haven't exactly rushed forward with enthusiastic endorsements. It's not that they're denying anything, more like a collective silence that's getting harder to ignore. And that silence has created a vacuum, filled by speculation. If Meghan's timeline doesn't add up, if her age doesn't match old documents, if her credentials don't pass scrutiny, what does that say about the brand she's built with Prince Harry? Their whole message hinges on authenticity. But what happens when your backstory starts looking like the palace, as usual, keeps things vague? When pressed about Meghan's past during earlier scandals, they emphasize privacy and distance. She's not a working royal anymore. They reminded us. She's doing her own thing. But it's not that simple. The monarchy's image is tied to decorum, tradition, and transparency, or at least the illusion of it. So when someone marries in and brings a swirling vortex of allegations about fake ages, unknown degrees, surgically crafted identities, it reflects back on the firm. Did they not vet her properly? Did they not care? Or worse, did they help sweep details under the rug to protect their own PR? Samantha's criticisms didn't start with age or education. Her rift with Meghan has been public for years, defined by back-and-forth jabs and tabloid tension. But over time, the tone shifted. It wasn't just a family feud anymore. It became a mission to expose what she sees as a pattern of deception. She claims Meghan reinvented herself in adulthood and erased the family she didn't want associated with her rise. According to Samantha, Meghan's entire reinvention involved cutting ties with inconvenient people and facts. And now, she's turning over every stone: birth certificates, academic registries, plastic surgeon appointments, yebics. It's obsessive, but it's also methodical. Cosmetic surgery accusations are nothing new in Hollywood, but Samantha's version goes deeper. She claims the surgeries weren't just for aesthetics. They were for reinvention. The goal wasn't to enhance, but to transform. The Meghan people knew growing up was older-looking, less glamorous, more conventional. The Meghan we see now, that's a curated version, allegedly the result of years of costly procedures. Experts brought into the expose point out subtle facial differences in photos from the late 90s and early 2000s compared to today. Not just aging, but complete shifts in symmetry, eye shape, cheek structure. Things you can't attribute to better lighting or makeup. And if true, it aligns with the theory that Meghan wasn't just trying to change how she looked. She was trying to change who she appeared to be. The image of Meghan as a confident, articulate woman who broke into royal circles was powerful. It fit a modern fairy tale. But now, there's a growing sense that this fairy tale may have skipped a few inconvenient chapters, or rewritten them entirely. Age, education, family, key elements that shape her identity, are all under scrutiny. And if these revelations are accurate, then the integrity of the entire narrative is in question. Was Meghan's success built on talent and hard work? Or was it built on illusion, on calculated moves, and the strategic omission of truths? The distinction matters, not just for public perception, but for how history will remember her. Meghan has never directly addressed the accusations about her age. Her public statements are carefully controlled, often avoiding anything that could stoke controversy. But silence can speak volumes. And the longer these questions hang in the air unanswered, the more they start to feel like answers themselves. The age accusation, especially, strikes a nerve. It touches on societal obsessions with youth, on the pressure to look and be young in order to stay relevant. But it also speaks to the heart of authenticity. If she's truly 52, then every age-specific milestone she's been celebrated for, becoming a royal at 36, having children in her late 30s, starts to look like a performance. The educational controversy stings even more. Meghan has spoken frequently about the importance of education, often citing her own experience as a foundation for her advocacy. She's been praised as a role model for young women, held up as someone who combined beauty, brains, and ambition. But if she didn't graduate, or if she misrepresented what she studied, then her credibility as an advocate takes a major hit. You can't campaign for educational access and honesty while hiding your own academic record. And that contradiction doesn't just make her look flawed, it makes her look calculated. And what about Prince Harry? He has stood by her through every scandal, every tabloid storm. But if he knew about the fabrications, or chose not to know, then his own judgment comes into question. Did he fall for an illusion, or was he part of maintaining it? Their brand is built on transparency, emotional truth, and a shared trauma narrative. But cracks in one side of that story affect the whole structure. If Meghan's story was embellished, then Harry's defense of her becomes more than loyalty. It becomes complicity. That's a dangerous line to blur, especially when your public persona is built on moral high ground. The royal institution remains quiet. No statements, no denials, no clarifications. But behind the scenes, it's hard to believe this isn't being discussed. If Meghan's age or education are proven false, it won't just damage her. It'll reflect on everyone who supported her ascent. The monarchy can't afford another credibility blow. And with every unanswered question, public trust erodes. Not just in Meghan, but in the structures that allowed her rise. The silence becomes its own scandal. People want answers, and they're not getting them, which only fuels the sense that there's something to hide. The accusations from Samantha Markle didn't come out of nowhere. Over the years, she's made repeated efforts to challenge Meghan's narrative, usually dismissed, often mocked. But this time, the tone has shifted. The documents, the inconsistencies, the questions, there's more to back up her claims than ever before. She says she's tired of the gaslighting. Tired of being cast as a jealous outsider while Meghan gets to walk red carpets as the voice of modern womanhood. According to Samantha, it's not about bitterness, it's about accountability. Because if Meghan reinvented her identity and edited her past, then she's not just fooling the public, she's fooling the world. The scrutiny has become forensic. Facial recognition comparisons between old photos and new ones have picked up subtle but consistent changes, not just in makeup or angles, but in bone structure. Alleged signs of multiple rhinoplasties, eyelid surgeries, dermal fillers, and even early facelifts. Experts have pointed to these as clear indicators of long-term surgical enhancement, not occasional maintenance. If the cosmetic transformation was really that extensive, it aligns perfectly with the age fabrication theory. Because that's the point, none of these changes were random. Samantha alleges they were part of a calculated plan. Reverse time, blend in with a younger crowd, and eventually rise into royal ranks without raising suspicion. And it worked. For a while. Meghan's age was rarely questioned during her early royal years. She fit the narrative too well. The confident American biracial actress who, at 36, was breaking taboos, giving speeches, and representing a new kind of duchess. She looked the part, played the role, and the public ate it up. But when people started cross-checking years, photos, graduation dates, it didn't add up. Some former classmates from high school and early college years have hinted at timelines that would suggest a much earlier birth date. If she really was born in 1973, not 1981, then every milestone we've been told, her age at marriage, her age during pregnancies, her age in photos, has been curated. The academic claims are even harder to brush off. Official documentation from Northwestern University lists her as having a communications degree. Yet over the years, Meghan herself has claimed a double major in theater and international relations. Public speeches, interviews, and press releases often repeated that detail. But it's not reflected in the university's records, and requests for clarification have gone unanswered. It's the absence of proof that's most telling. No diploma photos, no transcript release, no former professors stepping forward. Just silence. The kind of silence that feels a lot like avoidance. And that brings the palace back into the spotlight. They had every reason to vet her thoroughly. This wasn't just a girlfriend visiting a castle. This was a woman being woven into the fabric of a centuries-old institution. Background checks should have been extensive, ironclad. If they missed something this big, an age discrepancy, an academic fabrication, an image overhaul, it's either gross negligence or willful ignorance. And if they knew and looked the other way, that's even worse. It suggests complicity in building the image of Duchess Meghan, regardless of how accurate it actually was. The institution has always been careful about optics, so the idea that they might have allowed a potentially false narrative into the royal fold for the sake of modernizing their brand, it's not unthinkable. Meghan's arrival served a purpose. She helped rebrand a monarchy struggling with relevance. But now that narrative is cracking. If these allegations hold weight, then her very presence becomes controversial. She wasn't just different, she may have been disingenuous. And in a family that guards legacy like a crown jewel, that's a serious breach of trust. Meghan has framed her journey as one of struggle, resilience, and breaking barriers. But Samantha paints a very different picture, one of curated timelines, selective memory, and a pattern of self-reinvention that edges into fabrication. If she didn't graduate when she said she did, if her birth year is 8 years off, if her appearance has been surgically modified to maintain a false narrative, then what's left? It's not about shaming someone for getting surgery or leaving college. It's about transparency. Meghan has built a platform on the idea of honesty and empowerment. But that image only works if her personal story is true. And when that story starts to look like fiction, the backlash is inevitable. Samantha says she watched this evolution in real time. From the sidelines, she saw Meghan distance herself from their family, reshape her background, and eventually step into a world where the past didn't matter because she had rewritten it. According to Samantha, it wasn't just about ambition. It was about reinvention at all costs. And now, she's challenging the world to look closer, to stop taking public figures at face value, to stop believing polished bias in flattering interviews. She wants the truth, not just for herself, but for the public that's been sold a polished brand dressed up as authenticity. At the center of all this is a simple but damaging question. Who is Meghan Markle, really? Is she the educated, forward-thinking humanitarian we've seen on stages and in documentaries? Or is she someone who rebuilt her past so carefully that she lost track of the truth? It's one thing to be ambitious. It's another to build a public persona on half-truths and hidden facts. If Samantha's accusations are accurate, then Meghan's life story, her biggest selling point, starts to unravel. Not because she isn't capable, but because she misrepresented herself to seem even more impressive than she already was. And now, the consequences are setting in. Trust is fragile, especially for public figures. Once the cracks start to show, people dig. They remember the details that didn't sit right. They question the stories they once believed. And the media turns a narrative from inspiring duchess to fabricated legacy. The royal family may stay silent, but the public won't. These aren't harmless embellishments. They are potential lies that shaped a global brand. Meghan became a symbol. And now that symbol is under a microscope. Every milestone, every credential, every detail. If this house of cards collapses, it won't go quietly. And if you're still watching, you've probably got thoughts. Hit that thumbs up if you're just now realizing how deep this rabbit hole goes. Drop a comment if you clocked any red flags we missed. And yeah, go ahead and subscribe. This story's far from over, and you won't want to miss what happens next.